Everybody's good? Okay, get started. Okay, so first of all, I'll talk about, as I was walking up here, I was thinking about what a season and these press conferences have been all around the Wednesday games and now open week. So we'll talk a little bit about the game 2 weeks ago. And after the open week, I'll start off with some of the positives. I was really pleased with the defensive game plan that we put together to defend the air raid offense, air raid style of offense. I thought our defense played spectacular the whole game, especially in the first half. Really gave us a great opportunity to win the football game. I was pleased with the way we controlled the clock, didn't turn the ball over in the first half, but not pleased with the way we didn't finish the drives, right? And the first drive, we had first and goal at the 10 and had a chance to punch it in, take 7-0 lead, and didn't, because of a penalty there that I wasn't really sure about that happened there on that drive where they called us for a procedure penalty, which in review I thought that I was correct. It was offsides on them. And that kind of set the tempo for that drive where we had to settle for 3. And then the next drive, leading up to that drive, within a 5-minute span, we lost what was entail our third and fourth option offensive tackles, and we're playing with our 5th and 6th option tackles, and our tight end went out all within a 5-minute span. We got the ball down there, and I feel like if we would have scored at the end of the half there, probably would have changed the whole outcome of the game to get a 10-0 lead just because of the way our defense was playing. In the second half, when we didn't convert the 4th down on the first drive of the half, I thought that was a missed opportunity. It allowed them to get their score, and then we threw the interception there on the next possession that allowed them to get that long drive that they put together to get the go-ahead score, or give them a 2-score lead. So from there, we rebounded, got a score ourselves, and then obviously they put together a nice drive at the end of the game, or at the end of to match us right there to take the lead, take a lead again. So all in all, I talked about the synopsis of that game, how I felt about it. A lot of outstanding performances. I don't get much time to look at some of the statistical stuff, but I looked at it in this open week, and there's some of the things talking about throughout the season. Some of the individual performances that we've had. I look at our defensive front, and I see 3 of our defensive linemen are in the upper maybe top 5 or top 6 in the league in sacks, and obviously Tyrese is in the lead in pretty much every defensive statistic that you can have for tackling. And I look at some of our receivers are up high, and a couple of our running backs are up really high. So there's been some really good individual performances from some of our players. So I'm proud of those guys and the effort that they're putting forth in that part of it. And so as you look at that, you do that for a reason, because as a coach, you really want to try to accentuate those things as you go into this next ball game against Middle. Middle is a team that's got a lot of talent. We know that. They have a lot of players coming back from last year's team that won a bowl game and had a difficult schedule early in the year. Some 2 SEC schools to come right out of the gate, and then a Mountain West Conference tough loss that they had, and have been on and off in conference, but they had a really good win against FIU last week, and got them back on track, and now they have back-to-back home games. And so I think their quarterback played extremely well last week. They got 3 receivers that they really try to accentuate, that do a really good job, that got some good speed, run well, catch the ball well. They got an H-back that's playing really well for them as well. They're throwing the ball as their strength of their offense. Defensively, they got a really good front. I think their front 4 is outstanding. Their secondary is solid, and their linebackers play with a lot of energy, and they like to bring their linebackers a lot in pressure type of situations. And so, again, as we go into it, Cade, will get another start, get more experience, gain some more experience as a starter. Looking forward to watching him play. Really looking forward to having a road day game, right? And trying to extend our road conference win streak to 3, which would be a big accomplishment for our football team and something to try to strive to this weekend as we go into Middle Tennessee, go to Murfreesboro. So I'll open up to questions from there.
What do you kind of use as motivation?
Yeah, and motivation at this point, obviously we lost the opportunity to get to a bowl game. So motivation for us is the same thing I told the guys, is that improving and putting your best performance out there with pride to what you're accomplishing, and then also, because of the injury situation, a lot of young guys are getting an opportunity to play, and those young guys, for them to continue to improve or getting their first opportunity to play, to try to showcase what they can do to help them to continue to improve and be better players in the future. So those are the things that we're using as motivation there. For some of our seniors, they've been just outstanding, and they're working really hard. The leadership that they have and the effort that they've put forth, some I mentioned are playing outstanding for us, and some of them are still playing for the pride of their football team that they've been such leaders for, and some of the things that they've accomplished through the years that they've been here. So obviously we're playing for those guys, and I talked about trying to be a good road conference team is really something special for us to try to accomplish this season as well. But also, it's just gaining momentum and finishing strong. So that's important for us as well.
Obviously, Gavin, officially got the surgery last week on his elbows. If you could just maybe put into words his time here at UTEP and just maybe how disappointing it is that his career ended.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. We've tried not to, Colin, draw on that, and I don't know what all he shared with you about his injury. I got to be careful talking too much about the injury, but I sure can definitely talk about, the impact that he's had on our program and the accomplishments. And he really would have been able to, if he would have had a full season, be able to put himself high up in all the record books at UTEP. And what was very disappointing for him, but it's football, is that, throughout fall camp, I had multiple teams talk to me about him being a mid-round draft pick. Some of them had him ranked even going into the season as a 5th-round pick. A couple different programs told me that, and a lot of them had him as a mid-round pick. And so I'm hoping, that injury doesn't impact that. And I don't know that it will, so I don't want to speak that it will. I'm hoping that it won't, but the disappointment for him is, the leadership he wanted to provide to these guys. But he's been, we all know what Gavin is. He's been a tremendous person, and he's the same guy, in the adversity times. And so I feel bad for our team to lose a quarterback and leader of his stature, and I feel really bad for Gavin to not be able to go out the way he wanted to go out. And so it's very disappointing, but he's handled it, with a lot of dignity, a lot of class, and hopefully, he'll the time frame on, again, I can't speak to that and don't want to, but hopefully it won't impact some of his workouts that he has here moving forward for his future. But definitely his stock was really, really high before the injury, so I'm hoping that it stays that way.
Can you say what injury or what surgery he had?
Well, did he talk about that today to you guys?
Yeah, but he said it wasn't exactly Tommy John.
Right, yeah, so if he's talking about it, that's pretty much what it is. I just wanted to be careful of saying anything, live that he didn't want put out there as far as what the injury was. So.
He's given 5 years to this program. Can you just talk about what he's done for this team in those 5 years?
Yeah, he's done some great accomplishments. He's led us to bowl season, and also a lot of wins, a lot of statistical things. He's been a great ambassador for the program as far as how he handles himself. He's a guy, and this is what I tell the pro scouts. I say Gavin is one of those quarterbacks that's really hard to find, because they say talk about his leadership, and I say his leadership is that if we win and he threw for 40 yards, he was just as happy if we won and he threw for 300 yards. And that in itself says a lot about a kid's character and what he and how he feels about his football team and how unselfish he really is. And that's the things that, really check a lot of the boxes for the NFL teams, because it's hard to find guys that really put the team ahead of themselves. And Gavin's done that his whole time here. And he's tried to do the very best of making people around him a lot better. And that's something that you can't take take away from somebody. It's a really important trait to have. And so Gavin's just, been raised by two really good parents that have taught him all the good things in life. So he'll be fine because he'll recover from this. And the other thing to be said is he sits in those position meetings, and all he does is try to help those quarterbacks and try to help them to learn some of the things that they don't have because they don't have any reps under their belt. Obviously Cade's getting reps, and every rep that he gets better and better. I mean, I thought he looked really good at practice today because he's starting to just get a more and more understanding. But Gavin's helping him through that transition, so that's part of it, and so that's been good.
As far as the offensive line, having guys shift, alternate, stuff like that, where are you guys this week, and how difficult is it to be so different?
Yeah, where is it that, where we are this week, really, it's still, we're hoping to get some guys back, and, it's still evolving. It's been the strength of our football team, for many years. Those guys that, you talk about, Zuri Henry and Elijah Klein and Andrew Meyer and Stephen Hubbard. Those guys have been really strongholds to our whole football team, and obviously was predicted one of the top 40 offensive lines in college football at the start of the year. When they've been healthy and working together, they've played extremely well. This week it still remains to be seen if any of those guys will come, be back to play or not. Some of them were out there working today, which was good. They're working, which says a lot about them because they want to play, and they're motivated to play. And so we don't know at this time who's all going to be back and who's not going to be back. It's kind of a work in progress. But one of the things I did want to mention, Adrian, is that once Jaquan Toney and Azizi Henry kind of calmed down, right, and got settled in a little bit. We put that score together with those two guys in there at tackle. Once they calmed down, they really did a lot of good things. And so that's the nice thing. And Jaquan and Azizi had good practices today, so I'm excited about what they're doing. They're both super, super athletic guys. And so that I didn't want to take away, them getting thrust into the fire and not give them credit for some of the things that they accomplished. When Azizi got Pro Football Focus an award for his performance by Pro Football Focus within the game, and so I thought that was pretty cool for a guy that had never got an opportunity to play before. So I like their athleticism and their abilities, and I think those will continue, just like Cade, those will continue to improve as their opportunities come to them. But I'd also like to see Zuri and Elijah back, playing this week, and so they're working to get to that point, just for our team and for them as well.
Coach, I know you don't go on social media, but a lot of UTEP fans after the season are calling for your job. Why do you think you should see out your contract?
I'm not gonna answer that question. With all the injuries we had, I think that's a very unfair question to ask. Thank you.
Coach, obviously Cade stepped in for you guys in Gavin's stead. Just his play, has he earned the right to be the starter now officially for the rest of the season since Gavin is?
Oh yeah, I think Cade. Yeah, I think Cade is a very much learned the right to get a chance to continue to show what he can do, because I'm very pleased with what he's able to do and the efforts that he's put forth at this point. On that, I'm glad you brought that question up. On that point, I believe that I really want to see Kevin Hurley. I think he's back healthy. I really want to get him in and get him a chance to play too, because I think he brings a different element, so he could play in this game as well. But that's not because of what Cade's not doing. It's just because I want to see Kevin get some action as well.
On Middle Tennessee's side, they're also 3-7 on the season. They've had a lot of close games as well. What do you see from them as far as kind of where they're at as a program? They were 8-4 last. This year struggled. Yeah,
it's been interesting because they virtually have all the same guys coming back, and I think the start to the season with just the two SEC games, one of them was a tough loss to Missouri, and then losing the game to Colorado State, I think kind of shook them a little bit, and I think from there they've been able to recover and start playing better football. But I think that was a big impact on their season, coming out with that type of a schedule early. Is all I can put to it. I know Coach Stock does a really, really good job, and he's a really proven coach. Yep. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.